Ma'am, we've got quite some doctors, not just female entrepreneurs, all doctors,
Mm.
Dr. Sunil sir, Dr. Chetan sir. We have Dr. Shivangi, who's a physiotherapist, a budding physiotherapist trying to, start her independent practice. We have Vaishali, who's a nutritionist and a dietitian. She's also, good with research, and she's putting her footing into research more and more. Meghna over here, ma'am, is a PhD student from a pharmacy background. And we
Okay.
have Dr. Vipul Chavda, sir. Of course, he is a pioneer
Yes,
into marketing and user
absolutely. So
interaction.
someone whom I admire. So Kimcho Vipul bhai, all good?
We all look up to him. Vipul, sir, he must have started it on his way over to Ahmedabad. He must have started from Balija right
Okay,
now.
okay, okay. No worries.
We also have Dr. Seema Bhatt, ma'am, here. She's a general practitioner who's doing a lot of, groundwork in the peripheral part of Ahmedabad, and she looks into all the diseases. She's got a very, very good practice. So we've got quite a varied people over here. There
Absolutely.
is Mr. Anjan Bhai as well. He is part of a BNI group, the Business Network and International Group. And I think he's into jewelry business, but I'm not much sure of that. All right, so I think we'll start. We have quite a good number of people to start with. So if you permit us, we will start, ma'am.
Please go ahead. Pleasure. Let me just say before we get started, thank you to Dr. Hasnani, thank you to Vipul bhai. Always a pleasure meeting you all, and coming on the RIMS platform is such an honor. So I'll do my best to answer the questions that you may have, and hope this meeting is fruitful for everyone who is present today. Thank you so much. So you can get started, Dr. Hasnani.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for being present on a Monday afternoon. We all know that it is a hectic time schedule, but welcome all to our third episode of hashtag Breaking the Health Bias. And I see that a lot of people are trying to join the movement towards breaking the bias that all of us have been facing. Thanks to all the men who are supporting us. We did not know that we will have so many episodes when we started. We started it off as a small general program, and now we are in our third episode, almost planning the other three. So, thank you very much for all the support and love that we've got from all the doctors and the healthcare professionals as well as our audience. So we have once again our program coordinator, Dr. Nimi Mulwani, who is now a very senior diabetologist having her own practice on the Sabarmati on the west side of Ahmedabad. And without much ado, I will give over the digital platform to Dr. Nimi ma'am to please take up the proceedings.
Thank you. That's very kind of you, ma'am. Dhruvi. Okay. Today we are on the third episode of hashtag Break the Health Bias, and it is correct. We started it as a Women's Day once only program where we wanted to connect the females all over our healthcare profession. Where we are trying to talk more about the gender bias, we are trying to talk more about the overall issues that we face as a female. So today we have one very renowned Dr. Ami Shah ma'am, and for over 2 decades she has been involved in the profession of creating brands, managing customer expectation and creating demand for complex solution. And she is a co-founder and creative director of Intelli Assist. It's a full service digital and social media marketing agency. uh, uh, Truly I'm meeting her for the very first time, but the introduction that I have actually gotten from Dr. Dhruvi and Dr. Ishita is much more vast than the 6 or 7 lines that we can put it into. So without wasting much time, I welcome you, Dr. Amisha ma'am, to this
Thank you
platform.
so much, Dr. Mulwani. Thank you for your kind words.
So let me try to share the screen. Just a minute.
I think I'll only have to share because it's a
Yeah, you
host
have the
only thing.
PPT.
I'll
Yeah,
share the
you
screen.
have
Yeah.
the PPT. Yes, yes.
Yes.
So today's talk that we'll be covering with Dr. Amisha ma'am will be digital media and a doctor's dilemma. We don't know how to start, when to stop, what to post, and how to use the influx of the social media that has all we all have seen in last decade, if I can say. We all still belong to that generation where a patient brings 10 more, but we don't know how a social media or a digital marketing can actually help us bringing our voice to them. So, ma'am, my first question to you would be, can you give us an overview of marketing and digital marketing?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So, as we all know that, marketing has evolved over time. I was a conventional marketer for almost 12 years of my life when I got started. And then I started seeing digital tools and technologies. And in 2011, I decided that let me go whole digital because that's the way forward. So, what's interesting about digital marketing is it's a dialogue. Okay, you and I, we can communicate at the same time in the real time, and it can be seen, heard by many other people. Can comment, people can, if it is a live session, people can ask us questions. So it's a real time dialogue and millions of people are involved. This is the beauty of this channel. In conventional marketing, we had so many mediums. Every medium had different richness. So when I say audio, it is leaner compared to a video because video has visuals as well as a sound, but audio is only sound. When I say text and images, they are again leaner forms, but again each one has its own unique role in the whole communication space. So from that perspective, I think digital is one medium that has given us a power of a two-way communications. Okay, so that is very interesting about digital marketing. Now, with this two-way communication, what has happened is suddenly the power is in the hands of the consumers. We as brand managers or brand marketeers, we are just the host of our brand. We are no longer the custodians of the brand. Earlier, we were the custodians of our brand. But today, the brand meanings are co-created by a number of people who are my consumers. Okay, so that is the difference. There is a whole power shift that has happened. Earlier, I controlled what my brand is, and today my consumers control the brand that I represent. So that's a very interesting change that one has seen in the digital era. Okay, so that's how the overview of marketing and digital marketing, if I have put it in a short, that is what it is all about. Now, that brings us to your next question. What is the role of various social media platforms,
Ma'am,
right?
these are just the pointers. So if there is any more question regarding the any topic that we will be discussing, we can take in the Q&A. But one short question is how to make ourselves as a brand. Because as doctors, ma'am, most of us, we are a single unit. So for example, if I'm working in my clinic, I'm a single unit working for myself. So how do any of us who are a female entrepreneurs, doctors who are just starting, how do we make ourselves as a brand? So is it true that for to build a brand you need years of experience, years of expertise, or you can just start small?
Okay, interesting. Yes, the doctor
Can I
responds. Yeah.
request you to just, do it a little more in Hindi and Gujarati, just
Oh,
rather than
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of English?
Absolutely pleasure. Absolutely a pleasure. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So, we all are brands. हम सब एक brand है. You are a brand. I am a brand. Okay. And there is no such, see, brand gradually builds over time. Brand building થતા થતા વર્ષો લાગી જાય. તમારો જે પ્રશ્ન હતો કે વર્ષો લાગે, હા, તો વર્ષો લાગે. પણ હરેક દિવસ આપણે જે ઇન્ટરેક્શન્સ કરીએ છીએ આજુબાજુના લોકો સાથે, that really defines the brand. Okay, so my engagement, my interactions with you on a day-to-day basis completely determines what the brand positioning is. Now, if I go by the textbook definition of marketing of the brand, now the problem is, we say that brand is a logo, it's a name, it's a color, it's a symbol, it's your physical evidence, but brand is none of these. Brands are not built in a factory. Brands are not products. Brands are not services. Brands are built in the hearts of the consumer. Okay. So today, brand Dhruvi is a brand which is unique. And each one of us looks at Dhruvi as a different brand. For me, Dhruvi means XYZ. And for Dr. Mulwani, Dhruvi means ABC. Okay. So the same individual, Dr. Dhruvi, means different to different people, right? That is what brands is all about. So today, brands are not defined by groups, by people, by societies, by communities. Brands are defined by individuals. Okay, so that's why we say that branding is very important. Think about Narendra Bhai Modi. He's a brand. Now he is a brand for some people, which is progressive, which is to some people he's a taskmaster, to some people he's a leader, to some people he is he's the descendant of Hitler. So there are different versions or interpretations to Mr. Narendra Modi. Okay, but he is a brand, and that is what cannot be taken away. So you can either love him, you can hate him, you cannot ignore him. And that is what brand is all about. People may like you, people may dislike you, but people notice you. You are present. That is more important. And that is what brand means. And today, each doctor, as you rightly said, we are brands in our own rights. Okay, individuals are brands, and especially professionals like doctors are brands. So how do we build our brand? Okay, the question is really, how do we build our brand? Our brand is built by how we position ourselves in our clinics and on the social media platforms. What we do, how do we kind of talk, what kind of content we post, all that really adds to what the brand means to our audiences. And when I say audiences, it's not just about patients, it's about industry, it's about influencers, it's about potential patients, it's everyone. So it's the audiences also vary, and each one has a very distinct perspective about the brand. So that's what branding is all about for an individual branding.
Ma'am, do we need a whole team to make ourselves as a brand, or we can start by using various social media? Can you elaborate on types of social media and how we can reach to the maximum number of people to whom we want them to listen our voice to?
Wonderful. So we don't need a team to get started with. A single person can get started off with. As in how we grow, we need a team. But yes, if you want to start today, don't wait for a team, start today. Okay. So the first and most important thing is your website. Having your own website is not old fashioned. Website was the first thing that came into existence with digital marketing, but it is still relevant today because finally it is your own media. Tomorrow, Facebook will shut, Instagram could shut, but your website is in your control. All of us had our first account on Orkut. At that point in time, we didn't know Facebook, right? And we never believed that Orkut will shut. Why? Orkut એક Google નું product હતું, strong backing હતું, સારું product હતું. I was enjoying Orkut. મને તો બહુ જ મજા આવી રહી હતી. મારું આખું community, મારું આખું friend circle હતું. We never believed that Orkut will ever shut, but it did. Why did it shut? Because it had whole of an international audiences, right? મારા અમેરિકામાં જે cousins છે, મારા કાકા મામા છે, એ લોકો બધા Facebook ઉપર હતા. Orkut ઉપર કોઈ હતું નહીં. So although geographically Orkut was very strong in India, એ ક્યારે બંધ થઈ ગયું આપણને ખબર ન પડી. Think about TikTok. TikTok જ્યારે આવ્યું ત્યારે people were saying that TikTok is a nuisance platform, it's a nuisance value. લોકો કેવા છોટા નાના નાના reels બનાવે છે ને કાંઈક બી TikTok videos બનાવે છે ને કેવા stupid videos છે ને નાખે છે. And I used to tell people, my God, this is a future trend. And this I'm talking about 2015, 2016. I used to tell people that TikTok is a future trend. Okay, unfortunately, TikTok got banned in India. But what happened? TikTok videos became so popular that today Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, everyone has the Reels format, right? So the format of those videos, they really attracted a lot of audiences. Suddenly people felt that, it's not just the elite Twitterites who have the power to express, હું બી વાત કરી શકું છું, હું બી એક વિડીયો બનાવી શકું છું. યુટ્યુબ ઉપર વિડીયો બનાવવું એક્સપેન્સિવ હતું, પણ ટિકટોક ઉપર વિડીયો બનાવવું બિલકુલ એક્સપેન્સિવ નતું. અને ધ સેમ insight, consumer insight, was really welcomed by all the giants like Facebook, and of course now Instagram and WhatsApp is also a part of Facebook. But they realize, and even YouTube today, earlier they had only one format, today they have a shorts format as well, right? So everyone has really welcomed the format that consumers cherished with TikTok. But unfortunately, TikTok got banned in India, right? So આપણે કોઈ બી કેટલા બી આપણે પ્લેટફોર્મ્સ ઉપર હોઈએ, આપણે કેટલું બી કોન્ટેન્ટ કર્યું, આપણને એમ લાગે કે આપણી આ રેપોઝિટરી થઈ ગઈ, કોઈ લોકો જશે આપણા પેજ ઉપર જોશે તો આટલું બધું કોન્ટેન્ટ છે, પણ એ બધું નકામું છે. જે દિવસે એ બંધ થઈ જાય તમારી પાસે કાંઈ નહીં રહે, રાઈટ? સો એક પોતાની વેબસાઇટ હોવી બહુ જરૂરી છે. ધેટ ઇઝ હાઇજીન. સો દેટ્સ ધ ફર્સ્ટ થિંગ. Second thing, what is very important is your presence. Now let's understand how consumers or how patients find doctors. તમે ફેસબુક ઉપર જાઓ અને તમે એક ડેન્ટિસ્ટનો ફોટોગ્રાફ જુઓ અને એમાં લખ્યું હોય કે રૂટ કનાલ કરાવો, આ બેસ્ટ ડોક્ટર છે, સરસ રૂટ કનાલ કરે છે, કોઈ ટેસ્ટિમોનિયલ બી મળી ગયા તમને, બધું જ થઈ ગયું. Will you really run to that dentist and get your root canal done? No, because you don't have the need, right? So Facebook content, I would say, is not as relevant as what I would find on Google. So Google as if to a patient will search on Google when he has a toothache, and that is a time when a dentist ad pops up or some content on dentist pops up. That is the time he or she decides to go to that particular dentist. Okay, so our services as doctors is a need based. It's not like a shopping service. તમને એક કુર્તી ગમી, તમે જોઈ, તમને શોપિંગ કરવું નથી, તમે કુર્તી જોઈ, તમને ગમી ને તમે ખરીદી લીધી. That is not how our services sell. Our services sells based on the need, and when there is a need, there is a search that happens on Google. So please understand that Google is a very important platform for doctors. We cannot be ignoring that platform. Okay, so after your website, presence on Google. And how do you establish your presence on Google? All the listings like Just Dial, Practo, Sehat.com, Library, જેટલા બી આપણા listing services હોય, નવી આવે, જૂની છે, ચાલે છે, નથી ચાલતી, એ બધું વિચારવાનું નહીં. આપણું પ્રેઝન્સ હોવું જોઈએ. અને આપણું પ્રેઝન્સ કેવી રીતે હોવું જોઈએ કે આપણું રાઈટ પ્રોફાઇલ હોવું જોઈએ, આપણું અપડેટેડ પ્રોફાઇલ હોવું જોઈએ, આપણે ક્લેમ કરેલું પ્રોફાઇલ હોવું જોઈએ, so that you can manage. So all of that is, I think, missing in most of the doctors today. I think only the top 20% doctors know that these services, your presence has to be claimed. You have to manage your accounts on a Practo or a Library or a Just Dial. Okay, they can be claimed. Now, one is your presence, and second is you have paid advertisements on those platforms. So I'm not talking about paid advertisements right now. That is also something which you could do, but I'm not really encouraging that, but I'm at least encouraging a basic listing and a basic management on those platforms. Okay, so that is the second thing. Third thing is, and very important, Google My Business. Ajay, Google is cannibalizing all the products of, so I wouldn't say cannibalizing, but it's killing all the products of its competition. Some of its own products it's cannibalized, but at the end of the day, Google will make sure that it highlights what it wants to. Okay, so Google may also introduce 2 or 3 of its own products, but finally, whatever its flagship product, it will retain that. So although you talk about any industry, talk about movie industry, IMDb ratings are supposed to be very authentic when it comes to the movie industry. Google did support that for a very long time, but now Google has made its own movie review platform so strong that it is killing now IMDb literally. But still, some, because of the loyal follower base IMDb is having, it's still kind of displaying. But Google reviews or Google My Business has become a very important place for consumers or patients to check how the doctor is, what his or her services are, what are the working hours, which days the doctor is available, on which days the doctor is busy, what time does he work, whether he's shut on this particular festival. So please manage your Google business profile quite actively, I would say. So these are the three non-negotiable, presence on digital medium that you should have. And then this is one-time efforts. And maybe after every 6 months, you can review ke tomorrow everything is working as you had expected it to work. Okay, so it's not a daily efforts that is required in this what I've just mentioned. And this is hygiene, I would say. So every 6 months, please go and take a look કે કેવું દેખાય છે. આપણું ત્યાં આગળ પ્રોફાઇલમાં કઈ ચેન્જ કરવું છે, અપડેટ કરવું છે, આપણને એક ડિગ્રી મળી છે, આપણે એક એડ કરવું છે, શું કરવું છે. Let us do it, once at least in 3 months or 6 months. Then you have, for doctors, we have research outlets like Google Scholar છે, ResearchGate છે. So are we updating our publications there? Because that's also very important. So as a doctor, as I said, you will have multiple audiences. One is potential patients, but then the other is, other fellow colleagues, colleagues from outside India, industry professionals. So that is, again, your academic side is also very important when you are a doctor. So that these platforms also make a lot of sense to be on in terms of your active presence. So this is what you have to do in a very basic manner. Then once you have more time, once you have more resources, you have more budget, you can think of running campaigns on different platforms, social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And people always ask me, કે કયા platforms ઉપર આપણે હોવું જોઈએ? Which are the right platforms for us? And I always tell people that, platforms are only to distribute your content. The first question we should be asking is not about the platforms, but what is my content? મારી પાસે શું content છે? Right? Because Ajay, હર એક person કેટલું બધું content બનાવે છે. હર એક સેકન્ડમાં there is at least 8 million pieces of content. I'm talking about 1 second. In 1 second, there is 8 million pieces of content which is being released worldwide across all platforms. There is a proliferation of content. People don't want content that you publish, and you don't publish the content that people want. Now, this is the whole irony. This is the whole problem. કે લોકોને જે content જોઈએ છે એ આપણે publish નથી કરતા, ને આપણે જે publish કરીએ છીએ લોકોને જોવું નથી. So content excellence is one thing I always emphasize on. હું એમ કહું કે તમારી પાસે content ન હોય તો તમે 6 મહિના post નહીં કરો. આપણે મહાશિવરાત્રીની આપણે શુભેચ્છા કે હોળીની happy હોળી ન કરીએ તો ચાલે. કોઈને યાદ નહીં રહે કે ભાઈ આ વખતે ડોક્ટર હસનાનીએ કે ડોક્ટર મુલવાનીએ મને happy હોળી નથી wish કર્યું. કોઈને next year સુધી યાદ નહીં રહે. We are just adding to the honestly, મને કોઈ એક ફેસ્ટિવલ જાય ને એટલે બેસીને મારે બીજે દિવસે તો બધું ડિલીટ કરવું પડે, આખો WhatsApp ખાલી કરવો પડે. So you are just adding to my agony rather than doing anything. But do we have some good content for Holi? If we do, yes, sure. Right? So I will give you a very interesting perspective. I don't know whether Dr. Dakshata has joined, but Dr. Dakshata is asking one question to her audiences. E-clip આવશે, video આવશે થોડા ટાઈમમાં બહાર. But she's saying कि वट सावित्री की पूजा हम हर साल करते हैं. We all know that Savitri fought an intellectual war with Yamraj and she got her husband back. But do we know what happened to Satyavanji when Savitri and Yamraj were fighting? What was he doing? What was he experiencing? And she has told the whole Vat Savitri story again to all of us, but in a very different perspective. So why I'm giving you this example? કે વટ સાવિત્રી આવે, હોળી આવે, આપણે content તો બનાવવાનું જ છે. But how do we make our contrast interesting? Content આપણે કેવી રીતે interesting બનાવીએ, કેવી રીતે unique બનાવીએ? That is more important. That is what we have to. So till the time we don't have a way to make content interesting, I would say don't create content. Right? So I probably believe in a film which is made but in a very in 4 or 5 years rather than making 5 films or 6 films in 1 year where you don't get to there is no resonance with my products. That is what I would believe. So first is the content, and then next comes your distribution platforms. So your content will determine your distribution platforms. Now, again, another thing that I really find pretty annoying is, we are a part of at least 15-20 groups with our same colleagues. આપણે બધા જ 20 મિનિમમ 20 ગ્રુપમાં આપણે પાર્ટ હોઈશું, અને એક જે હેપી હોલી નો ક્રિએટિવ છે, મને તો એક વખત બી જોવું નથી, પણ મારી પાસે 20 વખત આવી ગયું, right? Because in all the groups that I am, that content has been posted. Now this is another thing which I feel it is just not required. The number of times, and unfortunately, that is the reality. And હું અત્યારના જે બોલીશ ને, I will speak as an educator or an expert in the subject matter. તમે મારી પાસે as an agency આવશો ને, તો હું કહીશ હા હા, ઈ જ કરવાનું આપણે. ઓકે, આજે હું સાચું બોલીશ, હું આજે ખોટું નહીં બોલું. પણ જ્યારે તમે મારી પાસે મને પૈસા આપીને તમે કહેશો ને કે તમે ક્રિએટિવ બનાવો, તો મારે તો પૈસા કમાવાના છે ને. તમે એક ક્રિએટિવ નહીં બનાવો તો મારા તો 1000-1500 રૂપિયા જે હશે એ ઓછા થાય છે ને. So I will not deny. I will take it up and I will give you the same creative and I will tell you to do the same thing. But let's think about it. We all are human beings. આજે આપણે જ જ્યારે કોઈને થેન્ક યુ, અરે વાવ, ફેન્ટાસ્ટિક, આ બધા વર્ડ્સ યુઝ કરીએ છીએ, do we always mean it? Right? So that is also another question that one has to ask, that do people really mean that? Do we always mean it? So I think these are some of the things that one as a marketeer, so one is wishful thinking as a marketeer that I may have, and one, when I think of myself, when I place myself in the consumer's shoes, and when I think, so I always tell my students, I teach in multiple colleges. I teach in IIM Bangalore, IIM Calcutta, so a lot of IIMs across the country I teach, and I always tell my students that put yourself in the shoes of the consumers and then think whether this content makes sense or this marketing strategy makes sense. As a consumer, we don't see any of these ads, but as a marketer, I believe કે મારી કેચઅપ ની ad લોકો જોશે, લોકો એને યાદ બી રાખશે, લોકો જઈને ખરીદશે મારો કેચઅપ, લોકો એને ખાશે અને રિવ્યુ સારો આપશે, અને લોકો 10 જણને જઈને કહેશે કે ભાઈ કેચઅપ ખરીદો, અને people will again buy me next time when the bottle is over. Now this is my expectation as a marketer, which is really કોઈ મારી ad જોતું પણ નથી. That is what I really forget. As a consumer, you don't bother about a ketchup ad. તમે જઈને local market માં જઈને જુઓ, જે તમને જેની પર 1+1 ની ડીલ હશે તમે એ જ લેશો. 4 brands છે, ચારો brand સારી છે, જે આગળ 1+1 ની ડીલ હશે એ આપણે લેવાનું છે, બરાબર છે ને? It's very very practical, so that is where we falter as marketeers. So we should not falter as marketeers. We should think like a consumer. Why? Because a kisan can, they have the deep pockets. They can create content. They can burn. They have huge amount to burn in marketing. We as doctors, we don't have time. We don't have deep pockets, right? And we don't want to create things which is not taking us anywhere. And before you start creating content, I always tell people, ask yourself, content came बनाऊँ છું? What is the purpose of my content? What is the objective? I always tell people that we all forget the objectivity. That is why our communication is designed to fail. Okay, so what is my objective? As a marketing communications person, in my so many years of experience, I've seen that 98% of marketing communication objectives fall in either of three buckets that I'm going to name. First is brand building. Okay. Second is demand creation. And third is customer experience. આ ત્રણમાં મારા majority of the objectives fit થશે. So when I say brand building, top of mind brand recall, unaided recall, aided recall, brand reinforcement, brand repositioning, આ બધા brand building ના નાના sub objectives છે. પણ આપણું major bucket કઈ? કે brand building. And is brand building an cost center? I would say no, it's not a cost center. Finally, brand equity is something which is, available on my account, books of account. So talk about Dr. V. Mohan's centers. there are 50 centers. તો તમે ડોક્ટર વી મોહન સરના અકાઉન્ટમાં જઈને જોશો તો એમની એક બ્રાન્ડ ઇક્વિટીની એક વેલ્યુ હશે. એ જે બ્રાન્ડ છે કોઈકને લાયસન્સ કરવું હોય અને એક સેન્ટર ખોલવું હોય તો એ જે લાયસન્સિંગ જે વેલ્યુ છે આજે સર કદાચ there is a if at all there is a merger, there is a takeover, there is an IPO, there is a whole financial considerations associated with branding Mohan's center. So brand equity is not a cost, or brand building is not a cost center. Brand building is a profit center, and brand building leads to finally brand equity. Okay. Now the second bucket, which is demand creation. Demand creation again is all about lead generation, hot leads, qualified leads, cold leads, purchase, repeat purchase, all of that. All these objectives come into demand creation. Okay, if it is a automobile industry, a test drive, all this comes into demand creation. Now, demand creation, people believe it is ultimately linked to top line and bottom line, which is fair enough. It's all linked to top line, but I wouldn't say bottom line. I would say top line, because it's finally your market leadership. Your bottom line is again a lot to do with other things, and I think Dr. Dakshata will speak about top line and bottom line much more than I would. So I'll kind of rest it here. And the third one is customer experience. Customer experience is all about what did your patient go out and say. Demand creation, what is your patient sitting here and experiencing? Right from your reception staff to your paramedics, like your dietitian, your nutritionist, everyone adds to the brand that the doctor is creating. Okay, so it all reflects in our people, in our physical evidence. It all reflects on what the person is feeling now, what interactions he or she is having with us, and what he's going out and saying. So is customer experience again a cost center? Not really. There is something called total customer review. So that is again another thing that we need to kind of focus on. So these are the three pillars of marketing, I would say, which determines apna, how our objectives should be designed, and then based on that content is created, and then we kind of look at distribution channels like Facebook and Instagram. There is something called
Thank you so much, Ami ma'am. It was really wonderful to listen to you and know a little bit about a world that we generally don't focus much on as doctors, because we think that our expertise is what takes us forward, but it's really not. It's the customers, it's the patients who come to us and experience. They are the one taking us forward. And you put it in very simple words. Before we close, I have one question from Dr. Ishita, who could not join today. Just a minute. Yeah. She wanted you to answer. Can we mention where we practice as doctors, or are we, when we are promoting ourselves, or are we breaking any law? We think that our expertise is what
right.
takes us
So
forward, but
if
it's
you
really
have
not.
like a
It's
RIMS
the
is an
customers, it's
institution,
the patients
and
who come
under
to
RIMS
us
you
and
have multiple
experience. They
doctors.
are the one
So
taking us forward.
RIMS
And
is
you put it
allowed
in
to
very simple words. Before we
advertise,
close, I
but
have one
doctors are not
question
permitted
from
to.
Dr.
So
Ishita,
it's
who could
always
not
good to have
join
a
today.
institution,
Just a
and
minute.
it
Yeah.
could be your a single
She
doctor
wanted
also
you
having an
to answer.
institution,
Can we mention where
but
we practice
individual
as
doctors
doctors,
cannot.
or are we,
We see
when we
Dr.
are
Pramod
promoting
Tripathi
ourselves, or are we breaking
advertising
any law? We
reverse
think that our
diabetes,
expertise
which
is
is
what
not
takes us
okay.
forward, but it's really
So
not.
that is something
It's
which
the
kind of
customers,
breaks
it's the patients who come to us and
the
experience.
guidelines. I
They
would say
are
it's
the
not
one
laws.
taking us
Otherwise, he
forward.
would have been behind
And
the
you
bar. But
put
it's
it
the
in very
guidelines.
simple words.
Advertise.
And there is one question in the chat
So it's
box.
always good
Let
to
I
me
think
have
she's
join.
a
getting late as
institution,
she already got
Yeah,
called.
and
yeah.
it could be
Okay.
your a single
So we
doctor
can
also
ask
having
this
an
to Dr.
institution,
Dakshita ma'am,
but
and
individual
she's
doctors
already
cannot.
joined.
We
So
see
thank
Dr.
you
Pramod
so much, Dr.
Tripathi
Thank
Ami
you.
ma'am.
advertising
Thank you.
reverse diabetes, Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope this was useful. And hope we have more such sessions. Congratulations once to the entire team, starting with one and planning six already. Congratulations to you all.
There is one
And
question
I
in
hope
the
this
chat
initiative
box.
really inspire others as well. I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
find
Okay.
Dr. Dhruvi
So we can
and
ask this to
Dr.
Dr.
Vipul
Dakshita ma'am,
really good
and she's already
doctrineurs. They are
joined.
doctors and they are
So thank
entrepreneurs. So
you so much, Dr. Ami ma'am.
I really wish them all the best with my, and I would love to ever always be back on their platform.
Ma'am,
Thank you, ma'am,
we
so
will make
much.
sure we will have you for one full session of 1.5 hours because we are not done with you. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
थोड़ा
Thank
Thank
you
सा
you
so
so
much,
much.
sponsored
everyone.
वाला करेंगे उस
चलिए guys, thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you, ma'am.
Akshata. Hello, how are you?
हाय,
Really
हाउ आर
good
यू?
doctrineurs.
अभी
Good,
मेरा
good,
फिनिश
good
हो गया।
entrepreneurs. So I really
अभी थर्ड टाइम मैं ही देने
always
वाली
wish
हूँ
them
तेरा
all the
टॉक।
best with my, and I would love to ever always be back on their
चल,
platform.
बाय बाय बाय।
Ma'am,
Thank you, ma'am,
we
so
Bye.
will make
much.
sure we will have
Somebody
you
who
for
deals
one
with
full
Botox,
session of 1.5. Sorry,
these
because we are
trick,
not done.
they are the ones who would help
We
in
have
this.
Dr. Rajiv Kovind sir also. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
थोड़ा
Thank you
सा
so much,
sponsored
everyone.
वाला करेंगे उससे. It was his voice. I think I can
Yeah,
recognize it
yeah.
from very well.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Akshata.
We
So
have Dr. Shruti.
हाय,
Welcome.
हाउ आर यू?
Hi,
अभी मेरा फिनिश
Dr.
हो
Shruti is
गया।
another,
अभी थर्ड टाइम मैं ही देने वाली हूँ
upcoming
तेरा टॉक।
dermatologist. She has her own practice. We have Dr.
हेलो।
Sushil Patel also.
चल, बाय बाय बाय।
ma'am,
So, Dhruvi, if you can just
yeah.
introduce
So
Dakshita ma'am, welcome on our platform,
These
ma'am.
trick,
हाय
they are
ध्रुवी।
the ones who would help
We
in
have
this.
Dr.
हाय निमी
Rajiv
मैम।
Kovind sir
hi.
also. Welcome, sir.
So today our second speaker is Dr. Dakshita Padye, and we all know her. She is from Borivali, Mumbai, and
We have
she
Dr.
runs the
Shruti.
Conquer Diabetes Clinic.
Dr.
Ma'am, please
Shruti is
teach me the
another,
pronunciation.
upcoming dermatologist. She has her own practice.
And
We have
her
Dr. Sushil
expertise
Patel
is
also.
very different. She'll be talking about
So, Dhruvi, if you
female
can just
docpreneurs
introduce Dakshita ma'am, welcome on our
and
platform,
some
ma'am.
things that we wish somebody should have told us before we started our clinic or we started our setup. She's here to help us run our clinic smoothly. And to talk more about this, I welcome you, Dakshita ma'am.
So maybe just to start on a lighter note, you just said that you just guide me how to pronounce
Her expertise is
COER. Now,
very
I'll
different.
tell you what,
She'll
you
be
and
talking
Dhruvi have
about
already
female
understood the meaning
docpreneurs
of conquer. That's more
and
than enough,
some
yaar.
things that
Forget
we
about
wish somebody
pronunciation.
should have
मैं तो
told us
एकदम
before we
बिंदास हूँ. I'm
started
from
our
a
clinic
vernacular
or
medium
we
school.
started our
तो
setup.
conquer का
She's here
meaning
to
समझ
help
में आ गया
us
हम लोगों
run
को
our
वही
clinic
बहुत है.
smoothly.
It doesn't
And
matter
to
how
talk
we
more
pronounce
about
it.
this,
We already,
I
I mean,
welcome you,
both of you
Dakshita ma'am.
already know the meaning. The fact that you guys are taking so much forget about interest but taking out so much time, efforts, and I know how you professionally follow up with each and every speaker and formulate the program beforehand before we come here to share any experience with you. I mean, the kind it may have started on this platform, but I'll tell you what, 1 year or 2 years, max 1 year down the line, this is going to be a big platform run by women dogs and obviously Vipul bhai. It is going to be pan India, 100%. The kind of mission you have is absolutely, it has a social cause. It is not commercial at all. I can see that from last few sessions which I am attending. It's a thing with pure social cause. So just to start with, that any entrepreneurship, whether it is in healthcare system, which is absolutely not very organized, you know that. Forget about with females, I would say with males also it is not very organized. We just focus on our expertise. So one basic rule of any entrepreneurship is it should have a vision and mission. So your vision and mission has to be very, very clear what you want. Whenever we talk about entrepreneurship, people have this notion, oh, she's a business minded woman and she wants to earn money. It is not like that. You all know already. I mean, I don't have to, disclose this. But women who are attending today's sessions, if they want to start any clinic or center, be it with just two team members. Because what is important in any entrepreneurship is not the leader. vision, mission, and team. That is very important. Your team is very important. Your team may be just one receptionist and one helper. He or she may not be BSc graduate nurse, he can be just 12th pass. But by educating them every day, we are going to create our own team. By updating them, by sending them for few courses, we are going to strengthen our team. That is very, very important. So mission has to be very, very clear and vision has to be very clear. So I'll just, when I started this, I'm sorry I'm not able to share this today. My laptop is not working, so maybe next time. But whenever you had, this is the business plan which I had presented in 2015 before I started my clinic, and they had asked us to write the vision and mission for our business plan, and it was to provide best and unique comprehensive preventive diabetes care under one roof. It doesn't have to have a very flowery English language, or too many promising words. You have to be very, very clear that it has to be best and it has to be unique. Uniqueness is something which is appreciated when we enter entrepreneurship. And mission is India's this is a very simple mission. We all contribute to it, that India is second world capital of diabetes, and we want to work towards India becoming world capital of diabetes. This is nowadays day-to-day statement, but this was a different and unique statement 7 years back when I had presented that plan. And believe me, each and everything which you put down with confidence and with belief happens. Whatever we had presented 7 years back, almost 80 to 90% of the things we are able to achieve. Then put down your goals. Goals are very important, because if you just plan and you don't have goals, you can't take actions towards it. So goals are very important. You should know that how many patients, 1 year, it has to have a 5 years projection. So in 5 years projection, you can't just jump to what is going to happen after 5 years. You have to write step by step on paper. It can be just a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a PowerPoint presentation, but you have to be clear that in next 1 year, what is going to be my expectation from my clinic, how many patients, how many new patients I want, how many percentage of follow-up I want, and it has to be realistic. Then you put down on the paper that if you are going to have few services in your clinic, like diabetic foot service, or POC service, HbA1c, lipid profile, and for other healthcare professionals, if you're going to have ECG machines or whatever relates to your specialty other than consultation, first you have belief that my patient needs it. If you feel that, oh, if I write foot evaluation which is for around 2000 rupees, is he going to feel that I am writing this investigation, and is he going to feel that I am commercial? There is a 90% chance that patient is not going to go for that investigation. So in first place, we have to be very clear that yes, American Diabetic Association recommends this, or whichever specialty you are practicing, you know that some international guidelines they recommended कि ये करना ही है, and you have to be very sure while writing on the paper you have to get this done. If you want patient to get all the investigations done annually, don't give any cafeteria approach. Patient को क्या है, they will say, okay, I have done ECG here, I don't have chest pain, I don't want to do ECG, I can see clearly, I don't want to do retina. Never settle down for any of patients request that I don't have these problems, I don't want to do this. You have to be very, very clear, and this is how entrepreneurship will begin, because you want to run a center. You just don't want to sit as a consultant. If you want to run the center, if you have equipment with you, and which has to be used not just to generate money, but they should be used for social purpose as well, for evaluating complication. So we have to have that concept in mind, that I have bought these instruments for serving my patients. You are definitely going to charge 10 times lower charge than Hinduja, Lilavati, or whichever hospital is a 5-star hospital in your locality, and you're going to give the same service to your patients. We all know that in our mind. Then few things which you should know before starting are what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. Strength of your clinic place as well, that if the clinic place is right at the station, you know that this is my strength. But weakness is now, for example, my clinic is in a commercial building, so we don't have water resource, I mean water supply and water drainage, so there is a common toilet outside. But then it became my strength later on that the footfall in the clinic is, if it is around 40 to 50 per day, I don't have to clean the toilet, and I'm getting that many, those many square feet area extra in my clinic. So you have to convert your weaknesses in your strength. Don't get discouraged ki, okay, I don't have a toilet, but just imagine the kind of hygiene you are going to have inside your clinic. And we have to see to it that, you know, outside public toilets are, I mean the not public toilet but the common toilets are maintained well on the floor by the whoever people. And then when you're starting your clinic, few things, checklist is very very important. Like you have to get the clinic registration done. Logo registration is very 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 important. You never know, somebody after your practice ये चार्ज गया है मेरे को बिजनेस प्लान का, ये चाहिए था पीपीटी चाहिए था मेरे को लगता है। हाँ, कॉन्कर डायबिटीज पे है ना, तेरा मोबाइल पे डाल के दे इस पे नहीं, इस पे तो हम स्पीकिंग। हाँ, लैपटॉप चालू हो गया, ठीक है, तेरे मोबाइल पे डाल के दे। And then when you are starting your clinic, कॉन्कर डायबिटीज में है बिजनेस प्लान का पीपीटी। Checklist is very very important. Sorry, like you have to get today is my complete technological hitch. लैपटॉप बंद पड़ गया है, मोबाइल का चार्जर भी चला गया है, तो मैं क्लिनिक का मोबाइल से प्रेजेंट कर रही हूँ. So हाँ, logo registration and tagline registration is must. Once your practice settles down, if you have not registered your logo and tagline, somebody else can start same clinic with same name with tagline registered on his name in the next lane, and patients will feel कि तुम्हारा फ्रेंचाइजी आ गया है. So never take tagline, कभी भी खुद को underestimate मत करो that I am not going to reach that level, you know, just diabetes का level और कोकिला बेन का level. Anything can happen. So when you start your practice, that is very important. Clinic registration, biological waste registration, and very important, ISO registration is very very easy. हम लोगों को लगता है कि अरे ISO registration में क्या है. Two advantages of ISO registration. One क्या होता है ना कि एक तो बहुत वैल्यू बढ़ जाता है. It takes only 24 hours to, you know, get the things in place. There are advisors who will come to your clinic. They will guide us क्या करना है आगे जाके. And they are very helpful people. Second thing, every 6 months or 3 months they will see to it that they will come to your clinic and they will train your staff in terms of hospitality, office management, registration management. तो automatically ना उसका training भी हो जाता है. And the expenses required for ISO registration are very very minimal. But the time कभी भी, you know, young patient walking in, corporate patient walking in, या अपना patient का कोई बच्चा है या उसकी बहू है जो corporate में है, तो जैसे ही clinic में आते हैं और बाहर देखते हैं ना ISO 9001, 2015, they know that things are in place. Here people know how, what is the workflow, क्या होने वाला है अंदर, you know. So these are few things which are very very important. एक मिनट में वो checklist एक बार and the expenses required for ISO registration बता देती हूँ, which is very important. But the time कभी भी, you know, young patient. So whenever we start clinic, there are some things which we should not ignore. क्योंकि एक बार practice pick up हो जाता है ना, उसके बाद ये सब चीज करने में अपने को बहुत कंटाला आता है. So there are few things. Here people know how, what is the workflow, क्या होने वाला है अंदर. We should know what are the threats for our business. आजू बाजू में कोई clinic है या institution based diabetes center या whichever competition cosmetology का center आने वाला है, और chain of lifestyle clinic, वो उसका तो बहुत टेंशन रहता है बाबा, अंदर कौन बैठा रहेगा मालूम नहीं. बट वो chain of lifestyle clinic मतलब हम जाके आए, just diabetes में जाके आए हैं या वहां जाके आए हैं, you know, those are the things. So these are the threats. So if we want to compete with those guys, then we also have to have some professional approach in our clinic. अपना advertising भी उतना ही professional होना. उनके पास कौन जाता है, उनके पास कोई डॉक्टर को देख के नहीं जाता है, अपने पास सबको डॉक्टर ध्रुवी हसानी है, डॉक्टर निमी है, उनको देख के आते हैं. but we have to stop that. It's high time that we start branding our clinic name rather than branding our name. First of all, officially हम लोग खुद का नाम को branding कर ही नहीं सकते हैं. So if we want to compete with outside brands, it is high time that we have to RIMS. अभी now we know that RIMS branding is so strong that the branding is already done. But now whoever is starting new practice ना, इतना मतलब वो हिंदी भाषा में बोलते हैं ना, हल्के में मत लेना, हल्के में मत लेना, खुद को हल्के में मत लेना. You don't know where you are going to be after 2 years. तो फिर वहां पे जाके फिर तुमने अगर शाहस क्लिनिक बोला है या दोशीज क्लिनिक बोला है, उसको ब्रांडिंग करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है. सो व्हेन यू आर स्टार्टिंग, स्टार्ट विद द नेम एंड ब्रांड. फिर आईएसओ हो गया, लोगो हो गया, बायोमेडिकल वेस्ट हो गया, प्रॉपर्टी टैक्स, शॉप एंड एस्टेब्लिशमेंट एंड एएमसी ऑफ ऑल मशीन्स इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. कितना भी छोटा मशीन रहेगा, ईसीजी मशीन रहेगा, पीओसी रहेगा, द एएमसी अमाउंट इज वेरी वेरी लेस. फंडोस्कोप है, बट उसका जब भी ब्रेकडाउन होता है ना तो बहुत खर्चा होता है. सो एएमसी इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एक तो उसका मेंटेनेंस हो जाता है, एंड लेटर ऑन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के अंदर है तो उसका ऑब्वियसली सर्जन्स आर वेरी पर्टिकुलर अबाउट इट. हम लोग फिजिशियन लोग, नॉन सर्जिकल लोग इसको बहुत लाइटली लेते हैं, बट एएमसीज आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सेकेंड थिंग, प्रोफेशनल इंडेमनिटी सबका होना चाहिए, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सीसीटीवी सर्वेलेंस वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. अपना क्लिनिक में मतलब अपना वेटिंग रूम में वगैरह तो ठीक है, बट कंसल्टिंग रूम में और रिसेप्शन पे सीसीटीवी कैमरा को, इफ यू कैन हैव ऑडियो माइक अटैच्ड, इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आजकल तो मतलब थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग आउटसाइड इतना ज्यादा, और उसका रिमोट कंट्रोल रहता है. सो इफ somebody wants to disclose something, first of all it is completely confidential, but audio setting in your cabin and at the reception is very important. वहां पे बाद में कितना chaos हो जाता है रिसेप्शन पे. we know money wise, appointment wise, somebody didn't speak to me properly. So if you have written thing over there that CCTV surveillance with audio facility going on for security purpose or complete privacy will be maintained. कुछ नहीं होता है, हम ऑडियो ऑफ भी रखेंगे तो भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. बट देन पेशेंट्स आर अवेयर दैट आई हैव टू बी वेल बिहेव्ड एट रिसेप्शन एंड व्हेन आई एंटर डॉक्टर्स केबिन. You know that sometimes patients are in a bad mood. No human being is bad, but it's just the way they react. So when they come to us, appointment नहीं मिलता है, बहुत दिन के बाद मिलता है, बहुत ज्यादा बैठना पड़ता है, they will just throw file. We have experienced those things. But अंदर आने के पहले आधा घंटा बाहर करके ये पढ़ के आएंगे ना कि अंदर जाके ऑडियो रिकॉर्डिंग भी चालू रहने वाला है, तो they will know I have to cool down and I have to react in a decent way. So these are few things that I have to be होते हैं. Now whatever happens in your clinic, patient आया रिसेप्शन पे खड़ा हो गया, उसके बाद पेशेंट गया पीओसी में गया, if at all any HbA1c has to be done, everything का ना एक क्या बोलते हैं उसको, ट्रायल फोटोग्राफी होना चाहिए. हर एक का क्लिनिक में मोस्टली टेलीविजन तो होता है. नेवर टेक केबल नहीं लगाने का, न्यूज नहीं दिखाने का, कुछ नहीं दिखाने का. यू दैट इज द बेस्ट मीडियम ऑफ मार्केटिंग. तो वो टेलीविजन पे ना फर्स्ट फोटोग्राफ पेशेंट वेलकम एट रिसेप्शन, सेम पेशेंट का एक फोटोग्राफ करता है. आई विश आई कुड शो द प्रेजेंटेशन. मैं ध्रुवी मैम के पास भेज सकती हूँ, फिर बाद में मे बी शी कैन शेयर. सो ईच एंड एवरीथिंग विच इज गोइंग टू हैपन इन क्लिनिक, उसका फोटो निकाल के ना सीरियल में लगाते हैं ना, तो दे ऑलरेडी नो. नाउ इन आवर प्रैक्टिस नॉर्मल कंसल्टेशन तो होता ही है, बट व्हेन वी वांट पेशेंट्स टू गो फॉर एडवांस्ड इवैल्यूएशन, हाउ द पेशेंट्स आर ट्रीटेड, हाउ द foot examination is carried out, how patient sits in front of that big fundus camera and how the images are taken, how plantar pressure scan करते वक्त patient कैसे उस scan पे खड़ा रहता है, how he walks. वीडियोस लेने का जरूरत नहीं है, pictures are good enough. Those pictures are run. Most of the time 50% of the time नया patient अंदर आने के बाद पूछ ही लेता है कि हमको ये सारे checkups करने हैं, कब करने हैं. So your time is saved. And when if you want your assistant to explain, it looks very commercial. कि आपको ये करना है, आपको तो वो सीधा बोल देंगे हमको नहीं करना है, हमको नहीं है चेकअप. But audio visual is something which has a great impact. So when you show those photographs going on your screen outside, छोटा टीवी रहेगा तो भी चलेगा, but patients जब ये बैठे हैं, that is the opportunity. Patients should know what are the things happening, and some education pictures, everything can be played along with that. It's not that it has to show your clinic USPs. बट बाहर वो एक टेलीविजन पे अगर वो पेन ड्राइव में डाल के उसका एक क्या बोलते हैं ऑटो रन चलता रहेगा ना, सो दे ऑलरेडी नो व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन, व्हाट आर द फैसिलिटीज वी हैव नाउ ऑन योर स्क्रीन आउटसाइड. देन टीवी रहेगा तो भी चलेगा, बट सर्विस डिस्क्रिप्शन भी होना बहुत जरूरी है. मार्केटिंग, सो मार्केटिंग का भी अमी हैज ऑलरेडी मेंशन, बट माउथ टू माउथ बहुत अच्छा है. माउथ टू माउथ कभी होगा, सिर्फ डॉक्टर की वजह से नहीं होगा. पेशेंट इज गोइंग टू कम टू योर क्लिनिक, he is going to spend only 5 minutes with you but half an hour outside. So your outside staff has to be trained. अगर हो सकता है तो थोड़ा पानी चाय कॉफी का सर्विस रखोगे तो और अच्छा है, because as in when your practice will grow, बाहर से पेशेंट 2-2 घंटा ट्रैवल करके आने वाले हैं. हम भी किसी के घर जाते हैं 2 घंटा ट्रैवल करके और उसने अपने को चाय भी नहीं दिया तो कितना खराब लगता है. So ideally speaking, some tea beverages facility if kept in reception, patients do appreciate that. That is very important. Then marketing के लिए माउथ टू माउथ पब्लिसिटी हो गया. टीवी रेडियो तो अभी माउथ से लेके जाता है, कोई टेंशन नहीं है उसका. देन प्रिंट मीडिया, इंटरनेट, CMEs, medical camps. The camps help. Camps do help. I've seen Dr. Dhruvi doing so many educational camps. मेरा तो प्रैक्टिस स्टार्टिंग का 5 साल में जितना कैंप किया था ना बोरीवली एरिया में, it really helps. मतलब कैंप्स में ऐसे नहीं है कि नॉन अफोर्डिंग पेशेंट्स आते हैं. पेशेंट्स who are interested in knowing what is education and what are new things coming up, और एक के साथ और 5 जन आ जाते हैं कैंप में. So camp definitely helps. Then forming support groups definitely helps. Slowly, as and when your practice builds up, you are supposed to form type 1 diabetes group, you're supposed to form gestational diabetes group, you can have some diabetic foot amputees group may contain to start with only 10 to 15 patients, but when they are sharing experiences, there is so much of what I can say oneness with those patients. When a type 1 diabetes mom, a type 1 diabetic who's diabetic since last 10 years, whose mom shares some experience with a mom of a recently diagnosed diabetes, आपका 100% काम हो जाता है. फिर आपको सिर्फ इंजेक्शन सिखाना है और SMPG सिखाना है. With the kind of confidence she will get after speaking to that woman, आप वो काम कभी भी नहीं कर सकते. आपको 1 लाख रुपए दिया तो भी तुम वो काम नहीं कर सकते हो. So forming small support groups, थोड़ा अपना भी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी श्रग ऑफ हो जाता है, एंड पेशेंट्स come together and they have that feeling कि एक क्लिनिक के साथ सिर्फ मैं डॉक्टर के साथ नहीं जुड़ा हूँ लेकिन मेरे साथ जैसे बहुत सारे पेशेंट्स हैं. So those things work. And so we have a support group of Om Diabetes Club करके है. Around 15,000 patients are participating in that, मतलब member of that program. और जब भी annual program होता है ना तो minimum 1,000 patients आते हैं वो program. And patients stage पे सिर्फ patients ही जाते हैं. Patients के dances रहते हैं, fashion shows रहते हैं, lot of sharing, awards, education रहता है. One specialty का कोई डॉक्टर को बुला के हम लोग डायबिटिक फुट है, न्यूट्रिशन है, उसके बारे में करते हैं. So it started with 100 patients and after 10 years it had attendance of 1,000 patients. So always don't look at the numbers. You start with small number. टाइप 1 में भी 5 लोगों से शुरुआत करोगे ना तो भी बहुत है. अगर वो 5 लोगों में भी एक जन ने बहुत पॉजिटिवली बात की और बाकी के 4 लोगों ने उससे कुछ भी इंस्पिरेशन लेके घर पे गए ना, so that is something which has a great social cause, but it has indirect marketing for your clinic as well, if you call it. I know people call it marketing when I conduct such programs, but I know what kind of feeling and positivity is generated in those meetings. So Don't get bothered by people. लोग बोलते रहेंगे वो मत सुनो, जो अपने को करना है वही अपने को करना है. That is very sure. Then use of funds very crucial when you want to start a clinic. छोटा चालू करो, बड़ा चालू करो, कितना भी चालू करो, बट वो प्लानिंग बहुत जरूरी रहता है. बैंक लोन तो ऑब्वियसली होता ही है, सो वहां पे बैंक को भी अपने को प्रोजेक्शंस देना पड़ता है that in next 1 year I'll be seeing these many number of patients, I'll be having collection of these many yeah, then I will work hard in next 2 years and by 5 years this will be my income. तो 5 year projection सिर्फ बैंक के लिए नहीं देना है, हमको अपने लिए भी वो पेपर रखना है, बार बार निकाल के देखना है कि आई हैव टू अचीव दिस. वो क्लिनिक चालू हो जाता है, फिर सब एसी वेसी लग जाता है, फिर हम लोग एकदम कंफर्ट जोन में चले जाते हैं. बट एवरी मंथ जब भी अपना जो है वो टारगेट हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है, वी नीड टू हैव सम मोर पेशेंट्स टू रीच दोस टारगेट्स. तो पेशेंट तो ऐसे नहीं आएंगे, फिर और क्या क्या कर सकते हैं, पॉजिटिवली एंड कंस्ट्रक्टिवली, नॉट इन एनी कमर्शियल वे. ये सब बहुत जरूरी है when we start a center, because सिर्फ कागज पेन लेके बैठ जाएंगे तो whatever we earn is enough for us. But when you are running a center, बहुत सारा चीज अपने को देखना रहता है. फिर ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट कभी आएगा सेंटर का, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन एनी एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. जब भी चालू करते हो ना तो 5 year प्रोजेक्शन, एंड विद दिस तुम्हारा ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट कभी आता है, दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में एक बुक बोला जाता है, आई थिंक एवरीबडी मस्ट हैव रेड दैट बुक, सीक्रेट करके एक बुक है. उसमें whatever you think, whatever you believe and whatever you ask for with 100% belief, it happens. It has happened to me, it has happened to 100 other batchmates of mine jab did that entrepreneurship course. So reading that book, writing down everything with respect to your own growth, your center's growth with timeline is very very important. And last but not the least, gratitude. Gratitude is something every day you have to practice. How much ever number of patients you get, whether your clinic is closed on that day, it happens, whatever it is, but gratitude for yourself and your center, expressing it every day is very very important. So this is what I wanted to share in nutshell. So you have any questions, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you so much, Dakshita ma'am, and it was really a pleasure listening to you. Really an honor, because like me, so many of us, even Dr. Dhruvi, we all are starting something in small scale, and then we wish it reaches to the height that our mentors currently are, and that's a
100%.
dream we all want to achieve. I just want to ask you, what were the early challenges when you started setting up an exclusive diabetes care center? And what were the things that you wished you knew it earlier before starting it or before stepping the stone?
Correct. पहला तो है कि don't listen to any discouragement, क्योंकि कोई भी सेंटर निकालने जाते हैं, we have blown up so we are convinced, but then every day we start taking opinion from many people and there are discouragements. एक तो हो जाता है कि थोड़ा कमर्शियल लगता है सबको फर्स्ट चीज, एंड फीमेल डूइंग दिस बोला तो और एक ज्यादा वो हर्डल हो जाता है 100%, बिकॉज देन यू हैव टारगेट्स और वो मंथली उतना तुमको कंप्लीट करना ही पड़ता है, बिकॉज यू हैव टू पे योर स्टाफ, यू विल हैव टीम ऑफ एटलीस्ट 8-9 पीपल हेल्पिंग, तो वो सब भी देखना पड़ता है, तो वो एक चीज हो जाती है. सेकेंड थिंग इज स्ट्रीमलाइनिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आई टेल यू व्हाट, अभी मैं जो सब बोल रही हूँ ना, मिशन विजन ये सब है ना, once women are the strongest people when they know something, फोकस ना कि मुझे करना है और ऐसे करना है ना, so they know how to execute it 1 2 3 4. और एक है, जितना हो सकता है फीमेल स्टाफ इन्वॉल्व करो. I have all 10 female staff. That is the strength of my clinic, because the kind of hospitality women can give and the kind of excellence they can give in their service. I'm so sorry that I can see many there are few males attending this program, but they will also be vouch for this, that their female subordinates or their female assistants are much, females are wired like that, and I'm not a feminist, but females are wired like that, smoothly काम हो जाता है. That is one thing. And train your staff, concentrate on your team, don't concentrate on instruments, don't concentrate on yourself, you'll just get burnout. एजुकेशन है, सब कुछ चीज है, देयर इज ऑलवेज इनसिक्योरिटी कि मैंने उसको इतना सिखाया, इंसुलिन पंप ट्रेनिंग दिया, अगर ये छोड़ के जाएगा, हुआ है मेरे साथ भी हुआ है, मेरे स्टाफ को हिंदुजा हॉस्पिटल में बाद में लिया एंड द काइंड ऑफ रेस दे गेव हर, आई कुड हैव नेवर गिवन हर फॉर नेक्स्ट 10 years. शी वाज ट्रेन्ड इन 3-4 गुड इंस्टीट्यूट्स. सो उसके बाद फिर क्या क्या सीखते हैं ना हम लोग उसमें से, यू डोंट कॉन्सेंट्रेट ऑन इन्फोगिव्स, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर लो ना, लीगल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स होते हैं, तुम्हारा सीए तुमको हेल्प कर सकता है. सो व्हेन यू नो दैट शी इज अ लिटिल ब्राइटर साइड स्टाफ, आई वांट her for next 5 years at least for growth of my center. Train her simultaneously, उससे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करके ले लो, put some good amount which she will not be able to pay immediately if she wants to leave within 1 or 2 years. So train her and at least she'll be with you for 5 years. So 5 years contract also works. So these are few things which was no, I wasn't knowing. धीरे धीरे फिर सीख गई मैं ये सब करना. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर लो ना, लीगल
Done. And can you talk? There is one actually a question which I want you to talk about. You said that camps in beginning helps, and as we grow our practice, there was one a question by Dr. Shruti that what kind of camps by when you say camps like this are tests or these are educational awareness camps, etc. So she wants to know more about that.
Yes, it has to be a constructive education camp. ऐसे ही सिर्फ ब्लड शुगर चेक किया नहीं चलेगा. So you have to go somewhere जहाँ पे प्लेस है, यू नो, थोड़ा तो लोगों को जमा करके you can speak. कम्युनिटी हॉल रहेगा तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. एक साथ बहुत सारे सेम मेंटालिटी के लोग मिल जाते हैं, सेम कल्चरल बैकग्राउंड के लोग मिल जाते हैं वहाँ पे. So then it becomes very easy to communicate with the crowd. That is one thing. And never give any consultation on site camp. शुगर करके छोड़ दो एंड नथिंग कम्स फ्री. आप उनको कुछ भी फ्री दोगे ना, वो नहीं उसको वैल्यू करेंगे. सो कैंप इज नॉट गिविंग एनीथिंग फ्री. यू डू ब्लड शुगर फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट, यू गिव एजुकेशन फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट, बट देन इफ दे वांट टू रियली, they are really committed to, you know, give attention to their health, they have to come to your clinic. So always carry some discount card, 80%, 70%. If your fees is 1,000 rupees, give them just 100 rupees consultation, but that they have to pay. They have to come to your clinic and write it down in clear that the conquer diabetes consultation fee 1,000 rupees, but for camp patient it is 100 rupees. So they know already 900 rupees का discount मिल गया है. And it's not commercial. See, वो 100 rupees उनको पे करना जरूरी है. That is the commitment they have to give. अगर वो 100 rupees नहीं पे कर सकते, जो पेशेंट 100 rupees पे करके अपने पास नहीं आना है, अपने को नहीं चाहिए, कि वो खुद का भी ख्याल नहीं रख सकता है, then they will come to your clinic, then let them see your clinic. And the next follow-up will be normal follow-up charge. But the first visit will be 100 rupees. And plus, that card should be used within 1 month of camp. That is very important. यदि 4 साल के बाद फर्क पड़ाते हुए लेके आते हैं, हमको वो कार्ड दिया था 4 साल पहले, वो नहीं चलेगा. Care to your health has to be immediate. It has to be within 1 month. So these are few lines which have to be written clearly on that pamphlet, that it should be used within 1 month. And if you are a busy practitioner, तो फिर वहाँ पे नीचे लिखना है by appointment. But if you are new in the case, तुमको walking कोई भी patient आया अच्छा है, तो उनको आना है, कोई problem. And plus, that card should be used.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, that is very important.
Do you think it is easier for us now to set up a clinic than it was for, you know, women before? We have a lot of support. We have now bank loans. We have, you know, maybe our parents supporting us. So we have partners and investors ready to, you know, put their money into us. Do you think these things have made it easier for us, or do you think it is a lot more hodgepodge?
नहीं, फिर क्या हो गया ना ध्रुवी, बहुत कंपटीशन बढ़ गया है, सब लोग निकाल सकते हैं, स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं. सो इट इज बेटर दैट वी इन्वेस्ट ऑन इन टीम एंड यूएसपीज, क्योंकि ये व्हाट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इज जस्ट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तो किसी के भी पास अभी आना बहुत ईजी हो गया है, सबके पास पीओसी को कितना यूज होता है, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वो तभी जब भी तुम पीओसी वाले से बात करते हो ना, तभी तुमको मालूम पड़ता है कि इसके पास कितना काम चल रहा है. मशीन तो फटाफट, मतलब गेटिंग बैंक बैंक लोन सैंक्शन और ये बहुत POC फर्स्ट एनुअल इवैल्यूएशन जो होता है ना, मतलब जिसमें पूरा ADI इवैल्यूएशन होता है, वो करना भी डिफिकल्ट है। चल वो भी हो गया, उसके बाद तुमको वो पेशेंट को हर साल कराने का है, एनुअली कराने का है। सो फॉर लास्ट 6 इयर्स अभी मेरे पास अगर समझो 24,000 25,000 पेशेंट है ना, तो उसमें से सिर्फ 3,000 पेशेंट ही एनुअली वो रिपीट करते हैं, एंड दैट इज ऑल्सो अ गुड नंबर आई वुड से। बट तुमको समझ में आ रहा है 24,000 में से कितना फॉलोअप कर रहे हैं, और उसमें से भी एनुअली सिर्फ 3,000 पेशेंट्स ही वो एनुअल चेकअप करे थे। सो दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस पेशेंट हैज, तो उस पे अपने को काम करने का है। तो देयर आर सम थिंग्स ना, फाइनेंसेस और सेटिंग अप क्लिनिक, मार्केटिंग वगैरह, वो सिर्फ पहला 6 महीने का जॉब रहता है। उसके बाद तो इट्स अप टू यू 30% एंड 70% योर टीम।
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
When you talked about USP, as doctors, we all think our USP is consultants. How well we know diabetes is what we think is our USP. Dakshita, I would like to know from you, how do, as a clinician, we should diagnose our USP, if I can say it right?
Yes, this is very much क्या बोलते हैं apt question. If you are talking about diabetes per se, it has so many branches that a stage will come after 5 to 6 years. You will have n number of diabetic patients, but then there is something like
How
job
well we know
satisfaction, and you will have to
diabetes is what
decide
we
that
think
these
is
are my
our
areas of
USP.
interest. So
Dakshita,
suppose
I
in
would
a
like
day
to
you're
know
going to
from
see
you,
40 50
how do,
patients,
as
you
a
would
clinician,
want
we should
10 patients
diagnose
diabetic foot
our
patients,
USP,
or
if I
10
can say it
patients
right?
juvenile diabetic patients per day, or 10 GDM patients. That is your expertise. So वो अपने को खुद को ही decide करना है, and we have to keep on of course upgrading that area of interest, and we have to show our work outside. I mean EMR तो सबके पास है, so we have to get our work scientifically acclaimed outside in national conferences, international conferences. It is very important to get recognized by our seniors and farmers. So जितना भी पेपर बन रहा है ना, 100 पेशेंट्स है, 200 पेशेंट्स है, सबका रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव बनाओ या प्रोस्पेक्टिव स्टडी करो, एंड आई वुड एडवाइज गो फॉर सिंगल सेंटर स्टडी। वो मल्टी सेंटर में तुमको रिकग्निशन नहीं मिलता है। मल्टी सेंटर मतलब ज्यादा से ज्यादा और एक जन तुम्हारे ही मेंटालिटी का रहेगा ना, तो ठीक है, बट दोस 4-5 सेंटर स्टडी में ना तुम्हारा नाम गुम हो जाता है और सेंटर को रिकग्निशन नहीं मिलता है। So it has to, मेरा जितना भी अभी तक, not many studies, but 8-10 मेरा इंटरनेशनल पेपर्स गया है ना, all are single center studies. I have never collaborated with anybody, क्योंकि फिर सेंटर को रिकग्निशन नहीं मिलता है। दक्षता को मिलेगा रिकग्निशन that she was part of this study, but then your center comes in a small bracket with other 5 centers. So try, and then it is your specialty work. You have planned this study. Then why just for 10 or 15 patients you take so many other people just to show number कि मेरा 100 है और 10-10 लोगों को लेके तुम 200 लोगों का स्टडी करो? Why? इंटरनेशनली उनका नंबर तो इतना पुअर रहता है ना कि अपना 150 पेशेंट का भी डेटा 2 मिनट में एक्सेप्ट हो जाए। So try and work with your specialty, gather data, and present it outside as a single center with other 5 centers. So try, and then
Thank you so
it
much,
is your
Dakshita ma'am.
specialty
I'm
work.
at loss
You
of
have
words
planned this
because we have learned
study.
so much
Then
today
why
from
just for
you
10
and
or
from Dr.
15
Ami
patients
ma'am.
you take so many
And
other people
I
just to
really would like
show
to
number
thank
कि
Dr.
मेरा 100
Dhruvi
है
for
और 10-10 लोगों को
initiating
लेके
this
तुम 200
topic. This
लोगों का
was
स्टडी करो। Why?
your
इंटरनेशनली
baby
उनका
and
नंबर तो
her
इतना पुअर
dream to
रहता है
make
ना कि
it true
अपना
that
150
okay, let's
पेशेंट का भी
talk
डेटा 2
with
मिनट में
females
एक्सेप्ट हो
who are
जाए।
in the same
So
fraternity,
try and
and
work
with
with your
whom we can
specialty,
get
gather
a lot
data,
of
and
inspiration. And
present it
thank you so
outside as a
much
single
to
center
show us
with
that
other 5
we
centers.
all
So try,
as a
and then
community can
it is
also
your
come
specialty
together,
work.
that jealousy, hatred, and ये सब business wala can be outside the door, but inside we all can be one. And I thank you, Dr. Dakshita, Dr. Ami ma'am, for today's wonderful talk. And in general, I'd like to thank Dr. Dhruvi Hasnani and Dr. Vipul bhai for providing us with the platform and making this show. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and really my pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you, Dhruvi. Thank you, Nimi ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Shruti.
you,
Your
Dakshita
questions,
ma'am.
very provoking questions. I mean, helped me and others as well. Thank you so much.
So
Thank
we
you.
are on a closed platform, and I'll tell you, Nidhi, Shruti, how we started. It was Dakshita ma'am and I. We were sitting on the Goa table, and Goa में बैठ के we were working, and both of us are thinking कि चलो कुछ करते हैं. Then we talked to Sonali ma'am. Sonali बताएंगे, and she was like चलो कुछ करते हैं. Then it was Ami ma'am
Thank you so
who told
much.
me कि तुम लोग
And really
करो.
my pleasure
We
and
are
honor
all
to be
there
here.
with you.
Thank you,
You at
Dhruvi.
least
Thank you,
start
Nimi
something,
ma'am.
and it has
Thank you,
been the
everyone. Thank
whole
you so much for your
group
questions.
of
Very
girls,
profound questions.
Dakshita ma'am, Sonali ma'am,
Helped me
Ami
and
ma'am,
others as
Dr.
well. Thank
Amisha
you so
right now.
much. Thank
All
you.
of these girls inspired and supported us through all the process.
No, yeah, we are
And
talkers. No, no, no. I'll interrupt. We are talkers. She's a
And
doer.
Dhruvi
Huh?
man
We are
is a
just
genius
talkers.
that
She's
is
a
there.
doer.
She's always been a genius.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. She's a woman of action. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, that
but
she
we
is.
should
You
do
cannot
more of
match with
these.
her.
Actually, this was just looking at Dhruvi Didi had sent me this the invite, I would say, for today's thing, and I was like, this sounds something nice, something interesting, and basically after
No,
having
yeah,
a
we are
kid just
talkers. No, no, no.
recently,
I'll interrupt.
8 months
We are
back, 9 months
talkers.
back,
She's a
and
doer.
now I
Huh?
want to
We are
come
just
into
talkers.
practice, and I felt like, it was a calling for me that I have to be here.
तू
If I
चालू
don't,
कर
I'm
हाँ,
going to
तू
miss
जरा
out
भी
a
घर
lot.
पे मत बैठ
Oh,
श्रुति
that
तू
she is.
चालू
You
कर
cannot
घर पे
match
मत
with
बैठ
her.
फिर वो बच्चे को आदत
Actually,
लग जाता है घर पे बैठने
this
का मम्मी
was
का
just
so
looking
just
at
start you
Dhruvi
just
Didi
start
had
this
sent
is a
me
calling
this
place कुछ नहीं किधर से कुछ
yes,
नहीं
the
हेल्प आ जाएगी
invite,
but
I would
don't
say,
take a
for
single day
today's
break
thing, and I was
तू
like,
दो
this
घंटा
sounds
जाएगा क्लिनिक में
something
पूरा दिन
nice,
में तो भी
something
चलेगा
interesting,
but
and
don't take a single day
basically
break
actually currently I don't have my own personal place. My husband is a
हाँ हो
pulmonologist.
जाएगा
I'm
हो
sitting in his
जाएगा
clinic and I'm
हो
going
जाएगा
once a week, which I'm going to increase like
ट्राई
this
कर
month
दो
itself.
है
Yes,
ना जरा भी
yes,
घर
yes.
पे मत बैठ श्रुति तू चालू कर घर
I
पे
think
मत
I'll
बैठ
need
फिर
to
वो
meet
बच्चे को
all of
आदत
you
लग
more
जाता है घर पे
so that
बैठने
I'll
का
get a
मम्मी का
push
just start
push
you
ahead.
just start this is a
Absolutely,
calling
we should do
place
one
कुछ
more
नहीं किधर
physical,
से
Yes.
कुछ
and
नहीं हेल्प
I
आ
Oh
request
जाएगी
yes.
Dr.
but
Vipul
don't take a
Chavda to
single
bring
day
in
break
more
तू दो घंटा पूरा दिन में तो भी चलेगा
and
but
make
don't take a
make a
single day
physical
break
conference
Actually,
possible very,
currently,
very
I don't
soon.
have
Thank
my
you
own
so much,
personal place.
Dakshita
My
ma'am.
husband is a
It was a
pulmonologist. I'm
wonderful,
sitting in his
wonderful,
clinic and I'm
session.
going
We've
once a
learned
week,
a lot,
which I'm going to
and I think
increase
we'll go
like
for the
this month
ISO
itself.
and
Yes.
the calibration of all the
Yes, yes.
instruments. Involving more
I think I'll
staff,
need to
training of
meet
the
all of
staff
you more
regularly. Those
so
were
that I'll
really,
get a
really
push
very
push
appropriate
ahead.
points that we all, forget from time to time. Thank you, Nidhi, for being
Oh
a
yes.
wonderful program coordinator. The whole program was, conceptualized, the questions and everything. It was done by Dr. Nidhi Mulwani. Thank you to Dr. Rami ma'am
she had
also.
already given me the pointers
She's perfect with her planning. She's like,
yeah
I need to
yeah
have everything beforehand,
right
and everything needs to be discussed. Dr. Ami ma'am has done a wonderful job, and I already got a screenshot from one of the audiences saying she's done a wonderful session, and she would like to connect with her. And I hope if she's hearing,
I'm there, Dhruvi. I'm there. Thank you so much.
thank you for being with us today. We
Thank you.
intend to do more programs like this, and
she had
as
already
we
given me
plan
the
them,
pointers
we will send it over to you. And if you have any more ideas on how we can do it in a more numbers and more strength, and bringing in more women power. See, a lot of men are supporting us. That is quite apparent from today's audience and the gathering that we had. So it's all thanks to them for supporting
I'm
us,
there,
and it's a
Dhruvi.
visit
I'm
ways
there.
both the
Thank
ways.
you so much.
If you have any more ideas on how we can involve them more, I think
Thank you.
we would be very, very helpful. Happy to have those suggestions.
Absolutely. And I wish to everyone who are joining today, I wish you can join to all the sessions that we are planning to do and that we do continuously. So support us and just log in, raise your questions, queries, and let's just talk.
So it's all thanks to them. Dr. Vipul sir, are you there? If you can speak something for a second, for a minute, I think we would be very, very
Yeah, it
helpful.
was
Yeah,
indeed a
happy to have
wonderful,
those suggestions.
wonderful discussion.
Absolutely. And I
I would
wish
agree with Dr.
to
Dakshata ma'am
everyone
that
who
there
are
is
joining today,
no
I
single
wish you
therapy
can
for all
join to all
diabetic
the
patient. You
sessions
have to
that
tailor
we
made
are
the
planning
therapy.
to do
Likewise,
and
in
that we
practice,
do
you need
continuously.
everything. But
So
according
support
to your
us
area, according
and
to the
just log
patient whom
in,
you are
raise your
catering, according
questions,
to the
queries,
locality,
and
their
let's just talk.
language, their socioeconomical status, you have to change the ingredient, something more, something less. And that is the secret for success. You cannot copy anybody's style and be successful in your area. You have to
Absolutely.
make it
Yes,
tailor
yes.
made. And Ami ma'am, you just break the ice for everybody that putting a post on social media is not a social media marketing. You have to be innovative, creative, and your content should connect with your audience or your patients. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Vipul. Thank you so much.
And as always, I would thank you, Dr. Dhruvi and Dr. Nimi, for making this wonderfully, guys. Thank you.
So with that, let us close the program. Thank you to all, both our speakers, Lakshita ma'am and Ami ma'am. Thank you to all our audiences and our program coordinator.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
You have to be innovative, creative, and your content should connect with your audience or your patients. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Vipul. Thank you so much.
And as always, I would thank you, Dr. Dhruvi and Dr. Nimi, for making this wonderfully, guys. Thank you.
So with that, let us close the program. Thank you to all, both our speakers, Lakshita ma'am and Ami ma'am. Thank you to all our audiences and our program coordinator.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Bye bye.